everyone, and welcome to the happy book birthday of So You Want to Be an Author by Trish Donald. Welcome, Trish.
Thank you very much, Michelle, and everybody. It's exciting to be here.
So exciting. I am so proud of you for writing this book. Tell me, why did you want to write this book?
Well, I wanted to write it because I've had a few books published myself, some picture books and some short stories and anthologies. And I found that there were a lot of people coming to me with questions like, where did I start? You know, how did they find a publisher? Just how do I come up with ideas? And there was a lot of people who knew very little, and I thought they really needed something just to get them started, just some little surface piece of information that would give them enough information to get them, send them in the direction.
And that's exactly what this book does. It's so amazing. So it's like a little gift from, I call you the Mary Poppins.
I know.
Oh, because you are like, come on, spot, do this. Like,
exactly.
Let's not muck around. Let's just do it. And I think that's sometimes what people are missing, don't you think? Just the first step.
Yeah, just the first step. And so they've got an idea in their head and they go, oh, that'd make a great idea for a book, but they don't know how to start and they don't know how to develop, and they often don't understand the importance of knowing your audience. So I've got a page here about who your audience is, you know, the age group that you're aiming it at, and why it's important to know, even the genre. So some people go, oh, I've had an idea, but they're not quite sure what genre it is, and why does it matter if it's a comedy or a horror or a thriller? Or they don't know the importance. So of course you need to know, because if you've got a fan of mysteries and you start writing a mystery that turns into a comedy, then it's false pretenses. And
it is.
And
it really comes back to knowing your why as well before you start, isn't it? Like, why
exactly.
do I do this?
Exactly. And this is also to help people. So if they have an idea, they can work, it's like a workbook as well. It's got a little checklist. So you tick what area you're interested in, and it can also help tease out whether it's something that you want to be involved in. Do you want to go further with it? Because writing a story there's a lot of commitment. So you have to be really dedicated and willing to put the hours and the time in, because, you know, most authors and illustrators that I talk to, it doesn't just magically happen. No. There's a lot of work. So this will help you realize whether you really are motivated. There's a little motivation thermometer in here that you can use to indicate you do your little motivations. Am I high or low? And then you can go, oh, well, I'm pretty high, so I'm going to keep going. Or I'm a bit low. How can I address that? So there's some suggestions down the side about how you can address that.
One of my favorite pages is the highs and lows page. So how will you manage your emotions? And I guess that's something that you would know as an established author, that it just can be a roller coaster ride.
And it is such a roller coaster.
So how do you kind of balance that? I mean, writing this book itself has been a roller coaster of ups and downs. So what are some of the tips, I guess, for the people who will be looking at buying this book? How can they overcome that and just get started?
Yeah. Well, I think the important thing is it's great to see all the different emotions, the highs and lows that I've got in here, because then you know your experience is shared by other people. And I think it's really important to realize that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And to build a community, you know, use your family, go to your family to support you when you're going, oh, I'm never going to make it, I'm never going to finish it. Or if you're on an absolute high and so excited, that they will celebrate with you, but being aware that there will be a coming down point. So I think building a community around you is really important. And I have some suggestions about how to build a community in the book as well. So that's really important. Yeah. And I think just acknowledging, I think another thing you can do is check in your vision board. So I've suggested creating a vision board in here with some ideas in there, and just checking in, where am I? Okay, I'm feeling good. Where am I? What do I need to just push myself a little bit or calm down a little bit? So this it all ties together in the book.
Absolutely. I think people don't realize when they are looking at writing a book, just of what sort of emotional journey you can go on as well. It's not just about putting words on paper. And, you know, I guess that's the difference between being a writer and being an author. You can write as much as you want, and it stays on your computer or stays in your notebook. But the minute that you want to then go and share what you've written with somebody else and have somebody you don't know read it and maybe judge it, like, oh my goodness, you have to be so brave to be able to
have to be really brave. And that's another thing I talk about in the book, about how to respond to feedback and the emotions around that, because you can be you have to be very humble, because if you've asked someone to read it, especially if it's a professional like an editor or a publisher, you really have to be willing to take on that feedback. And if you're finding it difficult, you know, just take some time and try not to react, because some people get very offended.
Yes.
It's
like somebody's judging their children. Yes.
Exactly.
Or your parenting skills.
Yeah, I know. And the other thing that comes out of that is people don't understand that there's a real relationship between you and the publisher and the editor, and that it's not just you getting a book. And so there's lots of people involved. There could be illustrators. I mean, I know my mum, who's been learning about the industry as I've been published, and she was like shocked and almost offended on my behalf that somebody would want to change the beautiful words that I wrote. So that was quite funny. But, you know, people they have a vision for your story as well, and they want a good product and they want it to be the best it can be. So, and that's the lovely thing about finding a publisher and an agent or editors. They're on your side, they have your back, and that's a really lovely relationship to have.
Absolutely. And you do have some tips for independent publishers in there as well, don't you?
I do, yeah. So if you have a book that you're very you want it a certain way and you don't want to change or compromise, then
really emotionally attached.
Emotionally attached. And sometimes that's good, because you have a vision, and if you're writing about a topic that you're absolutely passionate about and you know in your heart that is the way it needs to be represented and you don't want to compromise, that is completely fine. You can self-publish. And I know people that have done that and done very well and won awards. So yeah, there's something I cover that in the book as well. Yes.
Awesome. And I think one of the main pieces of advice for people who are just starting out is that knowledge of the industry and how it all works is such a confidence builder. And you go through that in the book as well, just about the basics of actually submitting and getting your book in the right format. Because, I mean, there's so many people who just wake up one morning and have a dream and write a book and send it off to a publisher with no editing and no right format, and then a bit confused about why it's not a #1 bestseller. There's so much more to it, isn't there, than just putting pen to paper?
Absolutely. And I think what happens when you're a new writer, you don't really understand the value of editing and reading things with a critical eye. And the more you write and the more you get feedback from people, the better you are at editing and preparing your book for submission. And I think that's the value of building a community around you and going to workshops. I'm a big advocate for workshops. Go to as many workshops as you can go to, whether they're online or in person. They really build a lot of skills.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me the other day about how come you know so many people in the industry, and it's like, because I'm part of the industry. Like that's part of it. You need to get out there and meet people who not only are doing what you're doing on an entry level, but are doing what you want to do and where you want to go, and meeting publishers. Like it's very hard for a lot of those introverted people to then and find that kind of social balance, but it's a really big important part of feeling like you're part of the community, isn't it?
But absolutely. And why I found that writers are very generous. So I was on the board of directors at the Writers' Centre here in New England for 5 years, and I'm still a member. I have some other commitments, so I went off the board, but I learned so much, and I made some great connections with authors and illustrators and publishers, and they're very generous. So if you go out for coffee after a workshop, they'll often go, oh, what are you writing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then they'll go, oh, that's a great idea. And they'll make suggestions that you haven't even thought of. And that's happened to me quite a few times, and it's been really valuable.
And you are one of those amazingly generous people to have written this story to help everybody who are just thinking about breaking into the industry. So we can get copies of this online through all of your distributors online, Amazon, Booktopia, Angus and Robertson. But if someone would like to have a chat to you, or maybe get you to run a workshop for their local writers group, or maybe talk to you about what other things that you can offer individual writers, what's the best way that they can contact you?
Probably on my website. I have a website, trishdonald.com, and I have an email contact there, so they can just contact me through that email. I run a lot of workshops at schools, and I'm creating resources around this book to help people with their writing. So it's really fun developing characters and looking at different ways. And what you'll find is there's lots of fun little doodly illustrations in here to encourage people to doodle and draw and create. So I'm utilizing the images in the book for resources. So they're welcome to call me, contact me through my website, trishdonald.com.
Awesome. That's so exciting. So watch this space.
There's some space.
Yeah, big things coming for this very important, very educational and informative and special little red book. So thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on the launch of your book. And I am so, so proud and so grateful that you would take the time to share this knowledge and put it down on paper.
Oh, you're very welcome, Michelle. And thank you for your wonderful support. It's been amazing, and it's just so encouraging. And that's what I'm saying. When you're building relationships with people, it's validating, and it gives you opportunities. And it's been very exciting to be able to bring this alive and make it available for people.
Absolutely, and I'm your biggest cheerleader, so thank you very much. So if you would like to get a copy of So You Want to Be an Author, make sure you go online, go to Trish's website if you'd like to contact her, and we will see you again soon on another Happy Book Birthday.
Yay, fantastic. Thank you. Bye.